In the previous tutorial video, we learned about a very important programming pattern for manipulating array reference attributes. Let me show you very quickly how it looks like, and then we're going to go and develop a little bit further for you, to illustrate something even more complicated for you. So now this is student class we developed from the previous tutorial video, and it basically assumes a maximum size of the array, which can be various. It can be 5, can be 10, can be 1000, can be whatever. And then you're going to declare a attributes, in this case called courses, of type an array of course records. And you can see the type over here is referring to some existing class name. So that means every element in this particular array is going to store the address of some course record objects. And then we also use this in particular integer counter over here called NOC, standing for number of courses, with two purposes, and that's something we covered in the previous tutorial video. Make sure you're comfortable with those before you go on. What I would like to do, I want to start with a new tester. And basically what we have done so far, we have done 3 levels of classes. We have got faculty, we have got, let me show you very quickly the diagram that we did previously when we first started this series. Okay, if you look at this diagram over here, basically we got, at the bottom level, we got faculty, and then we develop course record, which we refer to, and the course record has a reference attributes called instructor of type faculty, right? And also we develop students. And in the student class, we also got an array attributes called courses, and which has an array of course record. So that's what we have got so far, the 3 classes, okay? So now let's see how things can be interacting together. I would like to just start a new tester for the students and then try to really involve all the 3 kinds of objects all together and see how they look like all together, and especially how aliasing is going to work when these objects work together. Okay, that's what I would like to do. So let's go to Eclipse over here. So now let's go to Package Explorer. And then if you just right click on student tester over here and then say copy, and then right click on the package tests and then say paste. Okay, let's say we create a new class, student tester 2. Yep, that'd be good enough. Okay, so now if you go to student tester 2, let me just develop from scratch. Okay, over here I'm just going to delete everything except for the courses. Okay, let's say we got these 3 courses objects over here, course record objects, and we simply got CR1, CR2, and CR3. Okay, so 2030, 1021, and also 3311. And then let's say we don't initialize their marks and also instructor. Initially, all their marks will be 0, and also all their instructor will be null, the default values. Okay, so that'll be the first level. Oh, actually, the first level should be faculty. Let me do the faculty now. Okay, first level should be faculty, so I would say faculty over here. Okay, go to move your mouse over the end, and control space, and then you want to choose faculty from the model package. Okay, faculty here. Okay, now you can see we're using faculty, students, and course record, all the objects. Okay, all the classes. So faculty, let's say F1 is new. Faculty over here, let's say F1 is simply give a name, let's say Jonathan. Also the campus address, the office, let's say Lausanne 2045. Also the extension, let's say 70139. Okay, that's faculty 1. Let's say we create another faculty F2 from the same class, new faculty, and let's give another name, let's say Jackie here. And also, let's give a campus address, Lausanne 2043, and also the extension 70130. Okay, so these are, okay, you can see these 2 objects are the first level. And these objects will be the second level in the sense that some courses might have an instructor. In this case, we can choose either F1 or F2. We'll do that in just a moment. Okay, and then let's say the third level, we're going to have students, right? So let's put students into play. So students over here, we have got student, yes. So student, let's say S1 will be new students. And over here, we're just going to give a name for the students. Let's say for student 1, let's give a name, let's say Sunhei. Okay, and then we say students S2 over here, new students, let's give another name, let's say Jihei. Okay, it's 2 students over here, Sanhei and Jihei, so S1 and S2. So now, so far, how many new objects have we created? You can see, to see how many new objects you have, just look at how many times the new keyword you have used. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 7 objects in total. So now remember for this for the student objects we traced in the previous tutorial video, every time when you create a new student object, what you have to do in the constructor is you have to initialize the array for the courses for that particular context objects to be of the maximum number of courses size. In this case, it will be 5. Okay, that's what we learned from the previous video. Make sure you don't lose that. So what I will do now, I'll just show you very quickly on the iPad. So these are the 5 objects we have created. Okay, let me go over very quickly together with you. Okay, so now you can see that, let me just use yellow here. So at the first level, we got F1 and F2. So they are both faculties, right? Faculty objects over here. You can see Jonathan versus Jackie, the song 2025 versus the song 2043, extension here, extension here. Okay, just 2 different objects. And then at the second level, we got CR1, CR2, and also CR3, exactly like how we did in the code. Okay, so we got 2030, we got 1021, we got 3311. They are out of type course records over here, right? I showed different color just because they are different. They got different addresses. Initially, all their marks will just be 0, the default value. As for the instructor, I simply just don't put anything. Simply means they are null. Okay, just initially. And then we got S1 and S2. They store the addresses for 2 students objects over here. Okay, and we got a name, Sanhei and Jihei, as I wrote in the tester 2. And also initially the NOC number of courses will just be 0 because for both students they have not registered in any courses yet, so 0. And then for their courses array, it was simply pointing to some array over here of size 5 in both cases, right? So size 5, so all the indices you can use with 0 up to 4 inclusively. And then all the slots of the array will just be null. Okay, I just didn't put anything there just for simplicity, but they should be null. Okay, so that's kind of the beginning stage. So now what's really happening right now here is we created the 7 objects at the different levels. However, they have no connections to each other whatsoever. That's something we have to do. For example, we may have to set the instructor for some course to be some faculty member, and we may have to add one course to another to the student's registration list, right? So these are the 2 kinds of operations we can do. Let's set it up, and then we'll see what we can do. Okay, let me just do a line by line. Okay, let's say we set the instructor first. Okay, we can say the following. Let's say we want to see what course Jonathan has to teach. Let's say F1 dot, okay, actually it's over here. So if you want to set the instructor, you want to say, let's say for 2030 CR1, that's 2030, right? CR1 dot set instructor, let's say Jackie, let's say F2 over here, okay? And then we also got CR2, which is 1021, the set instructor, let's say that to be Jackie as well. And then we can say CR3, the set instructor, let's say that's Jonathan. Okay, so these are the 3 things we can do. Okay, so now basically we're trying to link from course objects to faculty objects. Okay, conceptually that's what we're doing. Let's see exactly what how we can do it. When I say CR1, the set instructor F2. Okay, we already traced this kind of code previously in the tutorial video. So now I'm just going to do it very quickly conceptually with you. If you want to see exactly how the fragment of code is executed, you can refer to the previous video. Okay, I'm going to save you time right now. So if I say CR1, the set instructor F2. So now I can see that CR1 over here, the set instructor F2. Sorry. There was one thing I didn't label correctly. So this one should be F2. Okay, let me do it quickly to fix it. So now this will be F2. Okay, this will be F2 over here. Okay, let me remind you again. So we want to do CR1, the set instructor F2. So CR1 over here, the set instructor F2. So that means we're going to let this field over here to store the same address of F2. So that means we're going to draw it this way. we're going to say this is going to point to wherever f2 is pointing to. Okay, so after this, we can see that over here, we do have some aliasing over here. So what aliasing we have, let me put it down. If you have CR1, if you have CR1 dot instructor or get instructor, doesn't matter. Say the instructor over here equals, if I say f2, okay, it is going to be true. Okay, that should be quite obvious to you because they refer to the same objects. Okay, CR1, I'm gonna see more. We're gonna see more complicated dot notation in just a moment. Okay, and then the second one I want to do is to set the instructor for 1021. So I can do CR2 that set instructor f2. So now let's try that. So we got CR2 dot set instructor and also f2. That means the instructor field is going to store the same address as f2. Conceptually, you can draw like this. So this is CR2, the instructor is going to point to the same objects as here. Okay, so after this, we're also going to get CR2 dot instructor over here equals f2. That is also going to be true. And from now, you can know that if I say CR1, okay, let me use a different color. So now if I ask you the following, if I say CR1 dot instructor over here equals, okay, I'm running out of space, but I can put it here, CR2 dot instructor over here, should it be true or false? Okay, if you think about it, what we're doing over here is like this. Okay, let me just do that. If I say CR1 dot instructor, I'm really saying CR1 dot, okay, remember dot simply means you want to look up the memory objects. CR1 dot, and then instructor is really referring to this particular objects over here, the faculty, right? That's CR1 dot instructor. And what about CR2 dot instructor over here? Okay, follow the same link. CR2 dot is going to follow this particular object over here, and then dot instructor, and then it's going to follow this link. It's really referring to the same objects. Okay, so now CR1 the instructor equals CR2 the instructor should also be true. Okay, so now we got these three expressions being true. Okay, that's basically a very quick aliasing to show you. That's something we also covered in the previous video. It's a very quick review. Okay, the third line we'd like to execute is this. We're going to say CR3.set instructor to be F1. Okay, so what I would do is I'm going to do over here. Over here, I say, what I can do is I can maybe move let's move CR3 over here. Do I? Okay, that's not about it. I'm just going to cross the line. Okay, unavoidably. So now what I would do is I would say CR3.set instructor to be F1. So that means now this field over here is going to store the same address as F1. So now let me do it this way. It's now going to point to wherever F1 is pointing to, right? So now what aliasing do we have? So let me write it down here. So you got CR3 dot instructor over here equals F1. Okay, it's quite obvious they refer to the same objects, right? So now you can see that over here, CR3 over here, dot, look up this object here, instructor is going to refer to this particular object over here, dot instructor. So now it's this faculty here. Okay, now also we got F1. F1 is referring to just this object. So we know that these two expressions are the same. Okay, so now equals should be true. Okay, so this would be also true. Okay, you know what? To actually show you it's a different pairs of aliasing, what I can do is I can use a slightly different color to show you. Okay, just in case. Okay, you can see CR3 dot instructor. CR3 is over here. Dot instructor is going to refer to this particular object over here in orange. And then over here we got F1. So F1 is referring to this particular object, which is the same. Okay, so now we got two pair of aliasing. Okay, so now this is also true. Okay, let's say true over here. Okay, a very quick question over here. What about if I say something like this? I'll put it here. If I say, how about here? If I say CR1 dot instructor over here equals, let's say cr3 dot instructor. Okay, let's have a look to see whether that should be true or false, right? If you try that, let's try this over here. cr1 dot instructor over here, we know that cr1 dot instructor is referring to this particular object over here, right? This one here. And now, if we try to see cr3 dot instructor over here, is going to be cr3 dot instructor is going to refer to this particular object over here. Are they referring to the same objects? The answer is no. Okay, it's quite obvious, right? They simply refer to different objects. So that should be false. Okay, so that's quite a bit of aliasing discussion already. Okay, so now what I would like to do, let's add in, let's try to connect. So what we just connected was between this level here and this level over here, right? So now let's try to connect this level here and this level here. Then everything will be interconnected. That's where the fun comes in. So now I would like to register courses. Okay, let's say Sanghan and Jihei, they actually have two courses in common. Let's say, for example. So what I would like to do is, let's say, do the following. Okay, let's say link from students objects to course record objects. And how can we do that? Okay, let me move a little bit to the middle over here. So now let's do this. So we say S1, which is Sanhei dot add course over here. Let's say CR1. Okay, and then we also talk about how to trace this. So I'm not going to do in 100% detail. I'll trace that only at the conceptual level. Okay, let's say register CR1 and CR2. And then we're going to say for S2, okay, change the context object over here. So CR2 and CR3. How about that? Oh, sorry. So that'll be S2 as well. So you're going to be, so they have two courses in, they have only one course in common. Actually, you know what? What I can do is 1, 2, and 2, 3. That's okay. How about they just have one course in common? I think that'll be okay. I think that's good enough. So basically, Sanghan and Jihei, they are actually classmates for CR2, which is 1021. How about that? Let's try to draw the diagram quickly. Okay, so now we got, let me write it down very quickly for you. So now let me just write it on the iPad very quickly. So S1 dot add course, and then we have CR1, and S1 dot add course, and then we have CR2. Okay, I'm just writing down on the iPad, just give me 1 moment. Okay, and then I got S1 dot add course, oh sorry, S2. We got S2 dot add course, and then we got CR2, and finally we got S2 dot add course, and then we got CR3. Okay, so now let's switch to iPad. So these are the 4 lines you're gonna get. Let's see exactly how we can trace these very quickly. But we already talked about in details in the previous tutorial video how you can trace these 2 lines in total, right? In the 4 details. Let's do it very quickly here. So now, if I try to do that, I'm going to add it. The current value for NOC is 0 for S1. The context object, so I'm going to store something in S1. What do I store? I will store the address that is stored in CR1. Okay, so the 2 lines that's involved in the assignments in the block of code for add course, you can refer to the previous video for detail. Okay, so now that means at position 0 is now going to point to the same over here. It's going to point to the same object as CR1. Okay, so after this, if I simply say S1 dot courses at position 0 over here, and then I can say at position 0 equals CR1. You know what? Let me write it on top. Okay, how about here? If I say S1 dot courses at position 0 equals CR1. Okay, after this should be true, right? Let's have a quick look. Because over here you can see, let me use blue. S1 dot courses at position 0, S1 is over here, dot is going to refer to this object over here, dot courses is referring to this array, and you want to go to position 0, and now it's really referring to this particular object in blue. And now we're asking whether that's the same object as what CR1 is referring to. Yes, they're referring to the same objects. Okay, so now this should be true. Okay, not a question, not a problem. So now let's say we do the second line over here. The second line, we're going to say S1 dot add course CR2. In that case, we're going to say, oh, of course, after the previous addition, we're going to increment NOC from 0 to 1. Okay, and then now for this particular second addition for the course, we're going to say the current position, the current value for NOC is 1. So we're going to add to position 1. And then what should we add? We should basically assign this particular, we should let this particular slot store the value for the arguments over here, the input, which is CR2. In this case, CR2 is going to be stored for its address. So now to draw this is as if we try to say this is now going to point to this particular object over here. Okay, so what aliasing do we have? I'll just write it down for you. The same idea. If I say S1 dot courses at position 1, okay, so now we talk about position 1 equals CR2. Okay, in a similar way, it's also going to be true. Okay, I'll leave it to you. You're really encouraged or advised to actually redraw this diagram by yourself to see how you can trace it, right? If you're given a tester like what I just typing now, you're supposed to know how to trace it. Okay, so now we actually got true for here as well. Okay, let's do these two lines over here on the right hand side for student number 2, for Jihei. Okay, so now the first line over here, S2, which is a context object, we'll talk about different context object now. But we're calling the same block of code, but now just the context object is different. So we're going to replace every occurrence of this by S2. So now what we will do is, for the first one, we're going to store at the position of NOC value, which is over here. And then we're going to store what? Because the value for the input is simply CR2. So that means we're going to store CR2 address into that. Okay, what's going to happen is, okay, so now that means 0 over here. Let me just, can I draw it this way? That may be a little bit better. So now that means it's going to, I'm going to make a little bit more space over here so it can be a little bit easier for you to see. Okay, let me drag a little bit to the top. Okay, so now what it will do is it's going to now point to wherever CR2 is pointing to, right? Okay, that's exactly what is going to happen after this particular line over here. Okay, what about the next, after this, what aliasing do we have? So if you try this, you will see that S2 dot courses at position 0, okay, equals CR2. Okay, let's see that. Let's see why. Okay, you can see over here, S2 dot courses at position 0, S2 over here is referring to this object here. Courses is referring to this array at position 0 is referring to this particular object over here. Okay, and then we are saying that it is the same as CR2. Of course, it is pointing to that. Okay, this will be true. Okay, I'm gonna say something a little bit more sophisticated in just one moment. Okay, let me finish this picture here. And then what about over here? When we say S2 the add course, and then we want to say CR3. How do we trace that? Okay, in a similar way. So now, okay, from the previous one, I forgot. Of course, the value for NOC should be incremented from 0 to 1. So now, when we execute this particular line, that means we're going to store at position 1. What should we store over there? It should be the value for CR3. Okay, CR3 is exactly over here. So that means position 1 is now going to point to wherever CR3 is pointing to. So now I'm going to draw it like that. So this is now going to point to over here exactly where CR3 is pointing to, right? Like that. Okay, so this is how we got the two arrows. You can see things actually still keep organized even though it's complicated. It's not messy, okay? You really want to get used to this kind of complication. That's exactly what OOP is about. I try to be as organized as I can because I really want you to learn how to draw diagrams. Okay, over here, you can see that over here we have, it's pointing to that. So what aliasing do we have after this? So now if you try S2 dot courses at position 1 equals CR3. Okay, let's do that very quickly. Let's say we got the orange, the green. Let's say S2.courses at position 1. S2 again is over here, the context objects over here, talking about here, courses. So now it's referring to this array. At position 1 is referring to this particular course record objects over here, the green. Okay, and what about CR3? CR3 is referring to over here, so they are really referring to the same object. So that part, no problem. It's really the same. That's also true. Okay, so now we complete the diagram over here. That's exactly the links we have. Let me give you some example of how things can be, how we can query by using the dot notation. Again, every time you use a dot notation, that means you want to follow the address that is stored in the context objects and go to that particular objects and then try to do something from there or traverse further. Let me just give you one example here. Oh, over here, if I ask you to follow, let's see this. Let me write it down in pink. If I have, let's say, S1 dot, let's say, courses at position 1, okay, dot instructor, okay, dot name. Okay, what do we have over here? Okay, let's start with this one here. So now you can see how many dots do we have. We have this dot over here, we have this dot over here, we have this dot over here. We got 3 dots. Okay, let's go all the way from S1 until where we should go. Okay, let's go to, let me use maybe some green over here. Okay, let's start with S1. S1, we start with this particular address for some student objects, and we see the dot over here. So that means we're going to follow that, the link, and we go to this particular student object here. Okay, that's what we have got so far. And for that particular object, we want to go to the courses array, the courses attribute, which is over here. So this is the courses attribute over here. And now we want to do some array indexing. So now we're going to go to index 1. So follow that array, go to the first element, and you want to go to index 1. So index 1 is exactly over here. That's index 1. If you follow index 1 and then you say dot, that means go to the address that's stored in index 1. It's really pointing to this particular object over here. Okay, this object for the course record. Okay, this is so far when you say s1.courses1 is going to refer to this particular course record objects, and then I want to figure out the instructor for that. If I go for instructor, it's really referring to this particular instructor attributes, and then I say dot again. That means I want to follow again the link, right? If I follow that link over there, it's going to refer to this particular one over here. Okay, and now I want to say, what's the name for that object there? And the name is simply just going to be Jackie over here. Okay, you can see. Let me just highlight the route that we have just gone through. We started with S1, and then we use the arrow, and we go to courses, and then we follow this arrow here. We go to index 1, we follow this arrow over here, and then we also go to the instructor, we follow this arrow over here. Finally, we go to the name attributes, and finally we get Jackie. So this will be Jackie. Okay, it's complicated, but it's not that hard to actually figure out, right? So you should what I expect from you. Later on, if I give you a complicated expression like this, I expect you to figure out exactly what they refer to. Okay, in this case, if I say system.out.println, I say s1.courses at position 1.instructor.name. Okay, I will expect that you tell me it's actually going to refer to Jackie, for example, over here. Okay, let me do one more to actually strengthen your understanding. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, so now if I do something like this, I want to show you another aliasing situation. Okay, another one. Okay, basically from this diagram over here, we know that the second course for Sunhei is the same course as the first course for Jihei. basically they're classmates, right? Somehow the position in their course array is different. Otherwise, they're really somehow referred to the same objects. Okay, so now I got 4 questions for you to answer. So now I started with a fresh page. It's basically the same as what we did just previously. So now I have a question for you. Of course, we can verify the answer using Eclipse, which I'll show you how you can verify that. Very easy. But I think it's more important, number 1, for you to draw a picture like this, what I'm showing right now. It doesn't have to be colored, but you must really get the links right. And number 2, once you draw the diagram, you should be able to really answer a question like a 1, 2, 3, 4 I'm putting right now. Okay? So now, for example, I'm going to write it down for you. Okay? You can type it as well into the tester. Okay? Of course, using the Eclipse to find out the answer for you is not that hard because it's really Eclipse that does the work for you. What I really expect from you is to really see how you can trace using the diagram like here. Okay? We'll get there. So now, first of all, let's try to type it out. So number 1, system.out.println over here, I would say s1 dot courses at position 0 over here. Okay, so now I want to get access to the array. So now to really allow this, let me just temporarily modify the attributes very quickly. Okay, but in the test, as I said, everything will be in the same package, so you don't have to worry. Let me just go back to my original classes over here. Can I just go to each one of them? Let's start from faculty over here. Can I just make everything basically public? Okay, just public over here. Public and also public for all the attributes. Okay, so let me just do not show. Continue. Okay, so now I have public over here. Can I also go to the course record class? And then I'm also going to have public for every one of them, okay? And then I will also go to the students, and also I will put the public for every one of them just for now, okay? It's just for me to easily to test, okay? For this course, you don't really have to worry about declaring as public or private. That's not a focus for this course. I want you to know exactly how variables work between the objects. So now if I go back to student tester 2 over here, so I can now type it out. Okay, s1 dot courses at position 0 equals s2 dot courses at position 1. Okay, that's number 1. Okay, number 2, s1 dot courses at position 1 equals s2 at position 0. Okay, number 3, s1 dot courses at position 2, s2 dot courses at position 2. Okay, finally, number 4, s1 dot courses at position 0 dot instructor. Okay, equals s2 dot courses at position 0 dot instructor. Okay, basically, again, you really want to feel comfortable about the dot notation. Whenever you got dot notation over here, we know that s1 is of type students. s1 dot courses will be of type array of course records. You go to a particular index, it's going to give you a course record. And then you go to the instructor for that, it's going to be the faculty. Okay? That's something you want to be able to figure out. So these are the 4. Okay? Before I run the Eclipse to verify the answer, I would like you to jot down exactly how you think the outputs might be for these 4 lines over here. Okay? Pause the video and then do it. Okay, so presumably you do the exercise. So now let's try to see. If I run it, we're going to get false, true, true, true. Okay, let's see exactly if that's exactly what we will get. False, true, true, true. Okay, so now let me just write it down here for you. It's going to be false over here. True, true, and also true over here. False, true, true, true. So now I will go to the tester over here. Oh, tester is already done. Okay, so what I will do is I will simply just go to over here. Okay, are we really going to get that answer over there? The first one, I'm just going to follow exactly the link. The first one, I'm going to use yellow. Okay, sorry. Let's say we go to s1.courses at position 0, right? Let's go step by step. S1, we start with here. Dot is going to follow this link, which is referring to this object over here. We go to the courses attributes, which is the courses attribute for this context objects, and go to index 0 for the array. So this is index 0 of the array. Okay, it's referring to this particular object over here, storing the address for this particular object. Now, what about S2? Now we start with S2 over here, and then dot is, we're going to follow the link over here. So we are talking about this object, context object here. Go to the courses array over here, go to the courses attributes, and now we go to position 1 of the array. So position 1 of the array is over here. So it's referring to this particular objects over here. So now, are these two yellow objects over here the same? No, they are not the same. They are different objects. So that is why equals comparison will give us false. Okay, this first output is actually makes sense. Okay, so now let's go a little bit further. Okay, let's now go to the second one. Let me use a different color. What about blue? Okay, so I'm gonna start with again S1 over here dot. So follow this link, this context objects. Go to courses. Okay, so now courses at position 1 is now going to refer to this particular one. So it's referring to this object over here of type course records. Okay, that's the left hand side. What do I start with S2? S2 is over here, courses. Okay, so that's this particular object's courses attributes. And then I'll go to position 0. Position 0 is over here. It's referring to this particular objects over here. So that means these are the same objects, right? So far, the first one is false, and the second one is true. What about the third one? The third one, let's use maybe green over here. Let's say we use green. Let's say again, we got S1 over here. Okay, S1. Okay, actually, it appears to be the same. How about I use a different color? How about I use orange? Let's say S1 over here, S1, and then follow this link, and then courses over here, and now go to index 2. Index 2 is over here, which is null, right? Because so far we only got 2 courses stored in the array. According to the logic from the previous video, this would be just null. Okay, I write it down for you. So this particular expression over here will just be of value null. On the other hand, if I try to follow that one there, what I would get is, let's see, S2 starting from here is referring to this object here. Go to the courses array, okay, and then go to position 2. Okay, go to position 2. That's also referring to null. Okay, so null is equal to null. That's true. Okay, null is simply equal to null. Okay, that's just something to show you. Okay, this will just be true. Okay, what about the last one? The last one is really interesting. Before I answer that to you, I want to emphasize once more. I really want you to really get comfortable with the dot notation. Okay, this one is reasonably complicated. So when I get, let me write it down here. I say S1 dot courses at position 0, and then dot instructor. Okay, let me make it even more complicated. What about instructor dot name? Okay, how many dots do I have? You can see 1 dot over here, 2, and then 3. 3 dots over here. That means we got many traversal to do. For now, over here, let me talk about the type. What is the type for S1? S1 was declared to be a student, right? So we know that S1 of type students. Okay, S1 itself is going to give me a student. And then when I say S1.courses over here, what's the type for that? It is going to be of course records array. Simply because in the student class, if you go to, so now we can traverse to the student class. In the student class, you can see for the courses array is of type, for the courses attributes over here is of type course record array. Okay, that's what we get. And then course record, and now what happened to if I say course S1.courses and then at position 0? What would this give to me? In that case, since every element in this array is a course record, so for that particular one, it's going to give me a course record. Okay, I'm just trying to help you figure out exactly the type, so everything will make sense to you. So now finally, no, not finally yet. So now when I say dot and then instructor, so what's the instructor type in the course record? If you go back to the course record class, you can see that the instructor is of type faculty. Basically, every time if your attribute type is of some reference type or array type, that means you can always use some dot notation to go further. Okay. So now this time, when I say course record dot instructor, it is going to give me some basically some faculty over here. Okay, it's going to be faculty. And finally, what's the type of that? If I try finally the line over here, what's faculty, and then what's the name attributes over here? If you go back to the name, the faculty class over here, you can see the name is of type string over here. So finally, you can see this complicated expression over here is going to give us type string. Okay, that's something I already talked about, but just from a different perspective over here. Okay, you can see over here, once we got that, we're just going to have this expression here being of type string. Okay, so now finally, let's go back to this particular expression and then we are done. Okay, so now let's do the following. Let's try to trace it one more time. Let me use pink over here. What about S1 over here? S1 again is referring to this object over here and referring to that. And now we go to courses at position 0. Okay, it's really referring to this particular object over here. And now we say dot is now dot is going to refer to this particular faculty objects over here, right? Over here. And then we say instructor. So now we go to the instructor field. Okay, let me do, let me undo this a little bit. Let me say that again. When you go to courses at position 0, let me undo this. Okay, sorry. Let me do it again for you. Okay, so now we start with S1 over here, and then S1 over here, and then we say dot. So we follow this link over here, and we go to courses attributes. So courses attribute over here. So far, so good. And then we go to position 0. Position 0 is exactly over here, which is referring to this particular course record objects over here. And then we say dot, so go there, and go to the instructor attributes, which is here. And what's the instructor over there? The instructor over there is referring to this particular faculty objects, right? It's referring to that. So these are faculty objects. So that's the left-hand side. What about right-hand side? We start from S2 over here, S2, and then we say dot. So we go to the arrow, and then we have this particular students, and then go to the courses attributes. So courses over here. Let's go to course at position 0. Position 0 is referring to this particular course objects over here. Okay, and then we're going for instructor. Okay, if you go to the instructor field, it's going to refer to this particular faculty object, which happens to be just the same. That is why for this one here, you also get true. Okay, it might look easy to you when I try to demonstrate, but I think it's sophisticated enough that you really want to maybe redraw the diagram to really convince yourself you can really reproduce the same exercise. Okay, let me recap very quickly and then we are done for this video. So basically this video over here, what I really focus on is to say when you actually wrote tester like this, you basically create different objects at different levels. You got faculty, you got course records, you also got students, right? And you try to call the various mutated method to set up the links between them. So we talked about in the previous videos how you can draw the links. And now what I try to do is to show you how the dot notation, how powerful it can be. Okay, basically every time you see a dot notation, that means you're going to look up the address in that particular variable over there in the context objects and go to that particular memory location and look up further for the objects. Okay, and every time you have some array indexing notation, you have to go to that particular position of the array and look up the object address if necessary. Okay, and then here we're just using equals to compare the addresses. So make sure you're comfortable with this kind of exercise. Okay, so now we have done with a reasonably complicated structure for this example over here. So now in the remaining, in the next videos, we'll try to show you more methods to implement.